The distress beacon had been silent for 3 cycles when Alara finally traced its origin to the ice moon of Keth 7. Her ship, the Wanderer's Hope, descended through swirling storms of frozen methane, sensors screaming warnings about the hostile environment below. Temperatures hovered at -200 degrees Celsius. Atmosphere toxic. Survival probability for most known species 0. For humans, just another Tuesday. Alara checked her environmental suit one last time before stepping onto the glacier field. The suit was military grade, scavenged from a decommissioned Earth Defense Force depot. Layers of thermal regulation, kinetic shielding, and enough power cells to keep her warm for 72 hours. She'd need every minute. The beacon led her through a maze of ice formations that towered like frozen cathedrals. Her breath created small clouds inside her helmet, quickly recycled by the suit's systems. Half a kilometer in, she found the wreckage. A Vacrian scout ship, split open like a cracked egg. The Vacrians were apex predators from the outer reaches, 8 feet tall, covered in obsidian scales with claws that could shred titanium. They conquered worlds for sport and considered most species little more than prey. They were also dying. Alara approached cautiously, her hand on the plasma pistol at her hip. The ship's hull was still warm, emergency systems flickering weakly. Inside, she found 2 bodies, adult Vacrians frozen in their final moments. But movement in the corner caught her eye. A cub. He couldn't have been more than 6 solar cycles old, barely reaching Alara's waist. His scales, which should have been glossy black, were dulled by frost. His triple-jointed legs trembled violently as hypothermia set in. When he saw Alara, he bared his needle-sharp teeth and hissed, a sound that came out more like a whimper. "Easy," Alara said softly, even though her translator wouldn't work on such a young specimen. "I'm not here to hurt you." The cub, she decided to call him Rin, after the Vacrian word for small warrior she'd learned from a xenolinguistics database, tried to retreat further into the wreckage. His pupils were dilated with fear and cold. Ice crystals formed on his scales. Alara's suit computer chimed a warning. External temperature dropping. Storm intensifying. Recommend immediate return to ship. She looked at Rin, then at her suit's readouts. The cub was dying. His species had evolved on a hot, humid world. Keth 7's cold was as lethal to him as hard vacuum. What she did next would have seemed insane to any member of the Galactic Council. Alara began removing her armor. The helmet came off first. The cold hit her like a physical blow, stealing the breath from her lungs. Her skin burned as sub-zero air flash froze the moisture on her face. She ignored it, working quickly on the chest plate, the arm guards, the thermal layer beneath. "Come here, Rin," she said, her voice already shaking. "It's okay. It's okay." The cub stared at this strange, soft creature removing the very thing keeping it alive in this frozen hell. Confusion replaced fear in his golden eyes. Alara wrapped her armor around him piece by piece, the thermal underlayer first, then the chest plate across his torso, the arm guards on his legs. She sealed them as best she could with emergency adhesive patches. The suit's power cells would keep him warm. For a while at least, the cold was agony now. Alara's fingertips had gone numb, her movements sluggish. Frost formed on her eyelashes. Her core temperature was dropping catastrophically fast, but she'd read the studies. She'd seen the data. Humans could survive cold that would kill most species. Not for long, but long enough. She lifted Rin in her arms, he was heavy, all muscle and scale, and turned back toward her ship. Every step was a battle. Her legs felt like lead. Her lungs burned with each breath of toxic, freezing air. The storm howled around her, visibility dropping to almost nothing. Rin made a sound, something between a purr and a whine. Despite everything his species represented, despite the fact that adult Vacrians had glassed 3 human colonies just 2 years ago, he was just a child, scared, alone, cold, and humans had a fatal flaw. They cared. "Almost there," Alara gasped, though she couldn't feel her lips anymore. "Almost there." The ship's entrance ramp appeared through the blizzard like salvation itself. Alara stumbled up it, collapsed inside, and slapped the emergency close button with a frost-covered hand. Warm air flooded over them as the door sealed. She lay on the deck plating, her body shaking uncontrollably, while the ship's medical systems assessed her condition. Severe hypothermia, frostbite on extremities, oxygen deprivation. She'd be in the med bay for days. Worth it. Rin crawled out of the makeshift armor cocoon and approached her cautiously. He sniffed her face, his forked tongue tasting the air. Then, in a gesture that would have shocked every xenobiologist in the galaxy, he curled up against her chest, sharing what little warmth his own body could provide. Later, after the medbay had stabilized her, after she'd reported the rescue to the proper authorities, Alara would learn that Rin's family had been refugees, fleeing their own kind's endless wars. They'd been heading to human space, hoping for asylum. The Galactic Council would debate for months about what to do with a predator cub raised by humans. Some called it dangerous, others called it unprecedented. Alara called it Tuesday, because humans didn't survive by being the strongest or the fastest or the most logical. They survived by looking at a trembling cub from a predator species and thinking not threat but child. They survived by taking off their armor in a frozen hell to wrap it around someone who needed it more. They survived by caring, even when it was suicidal to do so. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the galaxy needed most.